Oh man. Breathing hard through this. 2 weeks ago, I sampled a hard rock gold mine that showed us a little bit of gold still in the vein. And so I asked all of my subscribers, should I go back and take a larger sample to see if this is worth mining? Hard rock gold mines are the holy grail of gold prospecting. If you find the right vein, you find amazing gold. And I've been lucky enough in my life to find a few of them. But make no mistake, I found a lot of gold mines with literally nothing in it. This, however, sits somewhere in between those two. You can still see the pick marks from where the old timers were chiseling off the ore from the face. How cool is that? A couple of videos ago I came along and I sampled this vein. I took a little bit out of here and I took most of it out of here. I got about a quarter bucket's worth. A quarter bucket is not a lot of ore and I only did a rough crush sample. So to get gold in that gives me the idea that maybe if we take a larger sample and we crush it up properly, we'll have a vein worth working. I brought a little bit of PPE along. You definitely need a dust mask when you're doing work around silicates like this. And I've got my metal detector here too, although I don't think that's going to be of much use. Most of the gold in the northeast of Victoria is very fine and disseminated throughout the core. Disseminated's a fancy word for spread out. It's this quartz down the bottom here that I want to get into because this section gave us a little bit of gold, and traditionally speaking in veins, the deeper you get, the richer the gold gets. I have to muck as much of this out as I can to access that vein. And this might seem ridiculous, but we are using a really small pick today because getting into these tight areas is quite difficult. With the amount of dust that just came up, it's definitely time to mask up. Most of what I was removing was 150 years worth of tree debris that had fallen in, but there was also a little bit of the old timers waste rock that I had to remove as well, and that's why I needed to mask up, because silica isn't very good in your lungs. This has got a press check on it. I know a lot of people freak out about the beard, but you press this down, and if you can't suck air through it, you got a good seal. No air getting through, so we're good. This was stage 2 of trying to figure out whether or not this mine was worth working. Our initial testing showed a tiny bit of gold in the surface vein. If we get a little deeper, our test should be more accurate. I'm just giving it a minute to clear some of the air down there for everything to settle before I go back down. At the very least, this will give me access to a part of the vein that looks a lot better than what I sampled originally. It's darker, it's got more iron in it. The old timers clearly followed it in, so we'll get as much of it as we can, and if it's got good gold in it, we can really do some work here. Without a mineral claim here in Victoria, we're limited to using hand tools, so I have a rock chisel and a little pound hammer here. It's not ideal, but it's what I'm allowed to use. We had dirt up to about this level here, so I've removed maybe a foot. I got gold out of this section here. You can see that vein on this side comes down, and then we get into this real dark material down here. This is what I really want. Back on with this torture device. Being limited to hand tools means you have to be really picky about what and where you work. In this case, the vein was relatively easy to access, which I was thankful for. Nonetheless, it is slow, tedious work, but the ore was coming out of the face. Oh, that looks real tasty. I mean, I wouldn't go licking it, that's why you know it's good. Quartz is the second most abundant mineral on Earth. Even in a gold mine, most of it will be devoid of gold. So you never know exactly where it's sitting, and that's why it's important to do multiple samples. We're getting some really decent looking stuff. You never know until you crush it though. I've had the world's best looking ore and it's produced no gold at all, and I've had the world's worst looking rock. It's produced 11 ounces a ton, so we'll find out. Been working on this big dually for the better part of an hour. Oh, yes. Oh. I actually don't think I gotta take that. Well, maybe I will. I don't know, that's a big rock. With that out of the way, you can see the surface stuff looks a little different to the stuff down lower. So, I'm not sure if it's worth taking or not. We know we got gold in this area, so maybe I'll take this. That is a pretty good sample size, I would say. A little bit down here that we can take. This material is definitely going to be worth adding to our sample. It is hot work with a mask on. I need to get a positive pressure mask. It is, oh my god, it's spicy. I actually don't think we're going to see anything with the metal detector, but you never know. So we've got to give it a shot. Because the gold is disseminated through the... It's an aggressive opinion. Because the gold is disseminated through the vein, it's highly unlikely this machine's going to be able to pick it up, or any metal detector. But that doesn't mean that there couldn't be a lot of very fine gold in the vein. That could be a piece of old-timer rubbish that's fallen in here. That could be any number of things, but it certainly sounds like a signal, doesn't it? But it could be rubbish from the old-timers doing hard rock. I bet you it's that. Nah, it's not even old-timer rubbish. It's a piece of spalding off my own pick. We've categorized the ore down into its constituents, including our -8 mesh. We're going to leave that as is. We're not going to run that through the crusher. All of this is too big to fit into the crusher. So we're going to introduce this to my mate, Stampy. Stampy has one job. Stamping. The process of crushing ore is time consuming and labor intensive. Compared to alluvial prospecting, everything takes a lot more time. The benefits for when you find the right vein though are extraordinary. Why are the manliest of tools so heavy all the time? Can't we have a light version? I chose to use my angle grinder powered rock crusher by Stumpy Picks because for a sample this size, it does a fantastic job and it's relatively quick. I'm taking the opportunity to use a jeweler's loupe to look at the ore. Because the gold is so fine, the chances of us actually spotting a large chunky piece of gold are almost none. But sometimes with the iron staining, with a magnifying glass, you'll be able to see it. He looks like me! With our first sample showing us that the gold in the ore was very fine, the goal in this case was to ensure that the majority of our ore was crushed down to a talcum powder consistency. Gold tends not to hide in the quartz itself, but instead the iron sulfides that are contained within the quartz. And so you're trying to release very small pockets of those iron sulfides every time you crush a piece of quartz up. Took a little bit, but we got it down to this. Obviously there's a few oversized pieces here. We won't be adding them into our crush. This here is what we're interested in. And we're going to use the world's most simple method to figure out if there's gold in that. A gold pan. It's kind of like me in the morning. This is the pan I'm intending on using to pan down all of our ore crush, and it's super important that you make sure it is clean. We actually have gold in this pan from me making pay dirt. This would be contamination, and that means that if I was to pan off that dirt and I saw that at the bottom, I would get a false impression of how rich it was. One big old scoop at a time. The reason I do it one scoop at a time is because ore crush is really sticky and it kind of clogs your pan up. If you do a full pan, it can take a really long time. It's quicker to do little bits at a time. Sluice boxes also work, but you need a lot more water than this to sluice a ore crush. I was fully expecting to see more sulfides, the heavy materials that are associated with gold, such as iron and galena. And what I was honestly hoping for was a lot of fine gold. Normally I would pan down the whole thing when I'm in the testing phases because I want to see what my entire bucket had in it. But in this case, Mrs. Fern, we already know that there's gold in it, so I want to see what I'm getting per scoop. For at least the first pan, I'm just going to reveal this back. I want to see how many sulfides we're getting and if there's gold, because man, if there's gold in the first scoop, that would be unreal. Got lots of sulfides, and I do believe we have very, very fine gold. In fact, that is a small piece of gold. With the first scoop showing some gold, I was pretty excited to see what was in the rest of the pan. And with all the dirt processed, it was about that time. I've transferred everything into a black pan because all gold's so fine, it's much easier to see in this. The reason we do hard rock sampling like this is obviously to find really good gold deposits, but it's also part of our pursuit of finding really interesting and rare mineral specimens from not only the northeast of Victoria, but right across Australia. And these mineral specimens, gold, gemstones, crystals, and other things are up on our website, theoldmouldy.com.au. That website and our Patreon account are how we continue to make videos just like this one for you guys completely free. So if you've ever wanted to pan gold in your underwear at home, jump over to theoldmouldy.com.au and pick yourself up some pay dirt. Clean water! There are a couple of things worth noting here. The sulfides look like they are iron-based. That means that they could be encapsulating small gold, and if we were to heat this, we may get more out of it. What I really want to see is free mill gold though, and that's going to be gold that just looks like regular gold straight away. You can see here a lot of iron-based sulfides. That is a dark pile of heavies. I still might oxidize these off. Oh, we have got gold. Oh, yeah, right there. All right. There is potential for a lot of very fine gold to be chemically extracted out of those sulfides, but that's not what I'm about. It's a different type of prospecting altogether. What I'm looking for is this. We are getting gold. It isn't actually terribly small. It's pretty big for free mill gold, but there's not a lot of it. And that might be rich if you can move tonnage, but on a prospecting scale, this vein is probably not worth me chasing. There's $2 to maybe $3 worth of gold out of a single bucket. Not bad if you're a corporate mining operation, but given that took me 4.5 hours and there's less than $1 an hour in there, probably not worth me chasing, eh?